story. And the way it is divided in the classics from the Neijing and the Shanghanun, the Taiyang is the part that opens up. The Yangming is the part that closes down. This is called Taiyang and Yangming. And there is a third element, it's called Shaoyang, which in the classic, in the Neijing, they said that there is root and manifestation for each one of the spheres. The root energy of the Taiyang is called cold water. Of the Yangming, it's called dry metal. And of the Shaoyang, it's called minister fire. It's a kind of fire that helps us. And we place this Shaoyang here on this side because the fire that we need in the Yang spheres is to open up the Yang energy during the morning. So the Shaoyang is over here. But because the Shaoyang stays here, and what we're talking here is actually a moving time. We're talking about moving, day or year, it's a moving time all the time. The Shaoyang is in this area, but as time goes by, the time goes away from the Shaoyang. So the Yang energy starts to cool off, and this is why the Yang energy starts to close down. As long as you have fire firing it up, it opens up. But as long as the time goes by, then the Yang energy starts closing down. And when we talk about Chinese medicine and classical concepts, the reason that it works really well is because we adhere to this Chinese medicine terms, the herbs. That's the way that they work, and this is where Chinese medicine is really very, very different than Western medicine. Because in Western medicine, we don't have the time concept. Meaning, my heart today has 4 chambers, and tomorrow has 4 chambers. At night it has 4 chambers, and in the morning it has 4 chambers. Meaning, the physical body stays the same, but the energy changes all the time. That's why our body changes from childhood to adulthood to death, even though we have the same physical structure, but this is the time going by. So these are the 3 Yang, just that we understand this concept of the Taiyang opens up, the Yangming closing down, and the Shaoyang is the pivot that assists this opening and closing. Now the question is, right now we're talking about Yang energy, so where is the Yin energy? Everybody knows there's Yin and Yang. And the Yin energy finds itself in a different place. In the classics, or at least in the Shanghanun, in one part called Yu Jie Shi, the time that wants to unlock each sphere, Zhang Zhongjing puts the Tai-Yin from L to B, which is 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. And the Shao-Yin is from A to C, and the Jue-Yin from B to D. So the Tai-Yin, Shao-Yin, and Jue-Yin, these are the 3 Yin spheres. They actually occupy this part, which is the night or winter. And again, it is all related to fertility. We're just sidetracking a little bit to understand the theory. So what happens at night? And in Chinese medicine, in classical terms, it's like the real question. We're happy during the day, we're working, we're active, we go tonight, we go to sleep, which is like almost a dead state. But we wake up the next morning again. So what happened? In classical thinking, this is where the yin comes in. Like, why are we going to sleep and coming up again in the morning? So there's a whole mechanism here, and we have to consider also the roots, the root energy of each one of them. The Tai-Yin is called damp earth, the Shao-Yin is called emperor fire, and the Jue-Yin is called wind wood. So each one of these terms that the Yellow Emperor gave to each sphere has significance. Why? What is damp earth? What is emperor fire? What is wind wood? And our time is just a little short, but just to introduce it.
Go ahead.
The earth. And this is very different than what we learned today also. Today we learned heaven and earth, yin and yang. Heaven is from the yang energy, the earth is the yin energy. But in classical terms, you see that they talk about the heaven has 3 yin and 3 yang. And all the energy that is in heaven, we have it in us. We say that the qi has sheng jiang chu ru, ascending, descending, exiting, and entering. Where is it exiting? Where is it entering? Exiting from where to where? This is the ancient concept of the energy around us is really connected to our body. Where in modern medicine we tend to separate it. We say our body is an independent entity. It's not connected to nature in that sense. Like it's not that. But if you think about it logically, why do we all go to sleep at night? Why don't I want to? So anyhow, basically what I want to say is that the earth is the body, the physical body. Right? And then we have the yin and yang energy that interplay with the body. And this is where the 3 yins are. It's a long story, but just to say that the earth needs the energy to transform it, to make the life going on. And this energy is what we call the emperor fire. There's a long story behind it, but this is the bottom line. The energy that makes the body alive, that makes us wake next morning, is the Shaoyin Emperor of Fire. And when this fire is deficient, this is at least from my finding, you find infertility. This fire is what goes to the baby. It's not the yang energy that we play all day. It's this true fire, meaning, you know, when we eat and drink and do all these things, we have yang energy to support us during the day. It's called Xing. But when a person is dead, if you put air next to him and water and food, even if it's organic, this person is not going anywhere because he doesn't have Ming. He doesn't have this true fire. This true fire is what parents give to the baby. And in Chinese medicine, and there are few classics that talk about it, that include Zheng Yao Sun, that says pregnancy starts with a spirit and it ends with a physical form in the Su Wen. We have also, they're talking about when the Shaoyin pulse is moving, then a woman is pregnant. And Sun Sun Liao also talk about it when the Shaoyin pulse. Why is everybody talking the Shaoyin pulse, a woman is pregnant? It's just this reason. This is what we call the true yang in the water, the true fire that we have in the kidneys. So the main course of treatment to treat this, it's called supporting the yang, or supporting the true yang in the water. And you have Wu Jutong, which is a Wen Bing school. If you read a book that he wrote at the end of his life, he said almost all diseases are yang deficiency. Even everybody use Yin Qiao San to cool everything. You should read this book. It's called Yi Yi Bing Shu, treating the disease of the doctor. And this is Zhang Shichun and Zheng Tian. They're all talking about this yang energy in the water, which is deficient. So I did a study with 5 patients. They got herbs for 6 months. Every month I changed the formula because we do have to change it. And I mean, just tricked it a little bit in the sense that I already up front know which patients have better chance to get pregnant than others. And mostly, without being offensive to anyone, the patients that didn't take fertility drugs get pregnant more. Women who didn't take fertility drugs get pregnant more with Chinese medicine, which is a completely different discussion. But basically, so in this study that I did, I checked the symptoms. Mostly, and to make it more scientific, I matched the syndrome, which is Shaoyin true fire deficiency, and all 3 patients had elevated FSH. So it's kind of more scientific. It's all elevated FSH and see what the results are. These are the symptoms that each one had, and they took herbs for 6 months. If it says IMP means symptom improved, RES means it resolved. At the end on the right, if it says Y means they got pregnant and they didn't get pregnant. So out of the 5 patients, 3 got pregnant, 2 didn't get pregnant, and you could see that the one who didn't get pregnant had no improvement on the cold hands and feet, which is one of the typical symptoms of having this true fire deficiency. And there could be other symptoms like hot flashes is the main symptom of yang deficiency, not like we know it today as yin deficiency, and that's another story. But my conclusions from this whole 6-month study is that there is first a link between the symptoms improvement when they get treatment and if they get pregnant, which means if the patient is not healthy, it's more likely she will not get pregnant. If she starts feeling better, it's more likely she will get pregnant. So there is a direct link, according to my findings, between getting healthy and getting pregnant, and especially between the cold feeling and the true fire. Women that get herbs, especially the herbs that I give, are super hot, foodsy and these kind of things, and they're still cold after 6 months, normally this patient can get pregnant. At least in my experience. And so the conclusions for this presentation is that infertility treatment is a Shaoyin treatment. And in my full paper, I also show some other practitioners that believe otherwise, like Zhang Lu from 1600s said that, well, everybody in the history used to use hot herbs for infertility, but they should know that if the yin is deficient and you have an attack with hot herbs on the yin, this is true. So it's not just the Shaoyin treatment, but it's mostly, and the differentiation of symptoms is really important. That's how we practice Chinese medicine. We don't blindly just let's do this. But in my practice, at least 70–80% of the patients do have cold hands and feet, and they're always cold, and they're this type of patients.